All right. Thank you everyone for being here. Hopefully we're all having a good day. At this time, we'll turn over to Lisa Young and she'll take a roll call to see if a quorum is present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please respond. Jessica Coles. Mike Denby. Simon Lara.
Here.
Thank you. Robert Vondenacker.
Present.
Thank you. Tracy Conaway.
Here.
Thank you. Nick Russo.
Present. Good morning.
Thank you. Ron Gritman. Paul Montes.
Present.
Thank you. Amy Moreno. Chris Año.
Here.
Thank you. Taylor Shadron. Here. Thank you. Robert Stratman.
Here.
Thank you. Sherry Collins. Here. Thank you. Aaron Red.
Good morning. I'm here.
Thank you. Pat Tapia.
And everyone here.
Thank you. Jack McCallis. Ramona Simpson.
Here.
Thank you. Richard Allen. Wendy Kreitz. Wendy Kreitz. Wayman Allen. David Tavares.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you. A quorum is now a quorum is now present. Good morning, members of the MAG Solid Waste Advisory Committee. This meeting is now called to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when talking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. A MAG public comment process allows our members of the public to comment on the items on today's on today's agenda, or on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, please complete the request to speak form located on the meeting room counter. MAG staff can assist with any question that you may have. If you parked in the garage, parking validators are available on the meeting room counter. If you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. Our next item is to call to the audience. This is the opportunity for public to comment on the items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda, informational items or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the attendance unless the chair requests an exception to this limit. I've received 0 requests to speak for the call to the audience. MAG, we also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with committee members and will be included in the formal meeting minutes.
Sorry, Bobby.
Okay.
Request to speak.
All right. All right. It looks like we have one request to speak for the call of the audience.
How you doing? I'm Russell Barone, Apiary AI, Robotics and Waste Collection. Just wanted to come and I saw the agenda for the meeting where you talked about the third possible or the second possible revision of the 2012 best practices report. I was just wondering if there was any thought into a little bit deeper metrics on the report, pounds per CO2 of tons to the landfill, things like that. Just a little bit more harder metrics around how individual cities perform. Just a general question. And then I had a second question later on, and the same thing. Looking at what this group is doing, is there any focus on the EPA 2027 regulations for Class 8 trucks and emissions? And that was all. Just general questions for the group.
All right, thank you. So MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with committee members and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. MAG staff, have we received any online written
Mr.
comments for the call to the audience?
Mr. Chair, we received one written comment which has been provided to the committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal minutes of the meeting.
Thank you. Continuing for his next item is for the approval of the June 11th, 2024 meeting minutes. Does any member of the committee have any questions? All right. Prior to the approval of the minutes, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment. I have received no requests for this item. Ag staff, have we received any online written comments for this item?
Mr. Chair, no written comments have been received.
All right, is there a motion to approve the item number 3?
This is Ramona Simpson, Town of Queen Creek. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
All right. There has been a motion and a second.
Robert Vonnenacker, City of Buckeye, second.
All right, a roll call vote will be taken at this time. By Lisa Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please state your vote. Jessica Coles. Mike Denby. Simon Lara.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Vondenacker.
Aye.
Thank you. Tracy Conaway.
Aye.
Thank you. Nick Russo.
Aye.
Thank you. Ron Gritman. Paul Montes.
Aye.
Thank you. Amy Morano. Chris Agno.
Aye.
Thank you. Taylor Shadron.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Stratman.
Aye.
Thank you. Sherry Collins.
Aye.
Thank you. Aaron Red.
Aye.
Thank you. Pat Tapia.
Aye.
Thank you. Jack McCallus. Ramona Simpson.
Aye.
Thank you. Richard Allen. Wendy Kreitz. Wayman Allen. Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Thank you. David Taveras.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum. I'm sorry. Mr. Chair, all have voted in favor of the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. We will now go to the fourth item on the agenda, which is permission for information and discussion. I will turn this item over to Aaron Red from the city of the city of Aaron Red of the city of Peoria, and he will discuss the topic on recycling glass.
Thanks, Bobby. So during our last meeting, one of the questions that was asked was about future topics and what we might want to discuss. One of the things that I know here in Peoria, we've been investigating is whether to keep glass as an acceptable item in our recycling stream. The biggest factor would be the weight, of course, which leads or translates into higher processing fees. And then the second is the limited reusage. And really, it's hard trying to find others who will take glass and do something with it. So I thought it would be a good idea to hear from other municipalities. I know that last meeting, I believe we had the city of Avondale, Simon and his staff put on a presentation regarding some grant monies that they had used to set up a station for their residents. But I kind of wanted to hear from other cities about what you're doing, what your research has found, and what you've seen as far as the pros and cons go to keeping glass in the recycling stream. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. We'll turn the time over to the committee members. If you'd like opportunity now to discuss recycling glass in your cities and areas.
Hi, this is Sherry from City of Mesa. So in the City of Mesa, our current practice is to accept the glass in our Blue Barrel commingled recycling. We have done that for many years, working with our recycling vendors. So we do that. And then they take it to local market. And most recently when the local market, there was something with the local market and they were shipping it to California. So City of Mesa has always accepted it in our commingled and we've never removed it. And that's the way that we're going to continue to do it. And the way that we look at it is it's just the bottom line value of what that recycling is. So just the average revenue share or the average cost of it. And so it just averages in. And so that's where Mesa is on it. We don't have any standalone glass recycling centers or anything like that. It just goes straight into our commingled stream.
Thanks, Sherry. Have you seen any push to remove it? I know you say that you're going to stay the course, but has there been any discussion about what the benefits or what the negatives would be to removing it?
So right now it's a benefit because it is getting recycled and reused. A negative would be just, it would be removing something from the stream that the community can recycle, and currently they do. Understanding that the value is not as high as some of those other commodities, but we still want to try to, stay true to our climate action plan for the 90% diversion and really looking at diverting those materials. So if there's a home for them, Mesa wants to continue to do that. Again, it sometimes has a negative value or a zero value. But when it averages out, it still works out for Mesa.
Thank you.
Aaron, this is Pat Tapia with the City of Phoenix. And we continue to keep it in our program, and we are not at this time looking to actually take it out. Balcones is still our contractor that's handling all our sale of the recycled materials. And they did run into a little bit of a challenge on transporting the glass out to the original vendor. And since then, we have found another vendor in Las Vegas that we are actually shipping the material to. But yeah, we don't anticipate pulling or changing glass from the current program.
Thanks, Pat.
This is Tracy Conaway from City of Chandler. I'm just gonna repeat what the other said. We have always taken glass. We have no plans to take it out. Our current contractor does take it. It is being processed locally. And even though there is not a revenue or a very big revenue when it does happen, we feel the challenge to change course. We would still find that glass in the recycle stream. I am curious to know from other cities that have removed it, what they have found, the percentage of success that they have found of removing it. Just out of curiosity, just to see what other options are out there.
Tracy, you have Waste Management as a hauler, correct?
They are our hauler, but our contracted recycler is Republic.
Oh, okay.
Waste's only processing is in Surprise, so that's too far from us.
Got it.
This is Taylor Shadron with Local First Arizona. Not a municipality specifically, but we do work with local businesses. And I just want to put this out there that in Tucson, when glass was removed from there was a huge outlash from both individual family homes, like residentials, and the business community for taking away that glass recycling. A lot of the businesses that I work with, they see that as a service. And so even if it does come to like having to pay a little bit of money for it, they would rather do that than to see it go away completely. And then another thing is if you're having troubles trying to find vendors, there is a global sand shortage, which sounds kind of weird, but glass can be ground up to make sand that can then be put into beaches and help ecosystems be restored. So that's another option to look into as well.
Is there a vendor who actually does that locally or?
Not, I believe there is one either in Texas or Las Vegas, one of the states around us. So I'll look into that and try to get a little more information for you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Hi, this is Ramona Simpson, Town of Queen Creek. So we are not at the point where we're removing glass. We have gotten some push from our vendor to try to move in that direction. So instead of just, jumping to that point, and here's some of the reasons why, right? Especially when you collect it in curbside, it does tend to break up and become shards. And so some of the things that we are finding is that it can actually reduce the value of other materials like cardboard, paper, and other materials that the shards can get into. So if we did remove glass, it would be for that reason, to try to have better value for other materials that can actually have a second life. In other words, I like to say, if you want to shred up cardboard and reuse it, you really don't want glass in your toilet paper, right? So with that being said, we also want to make sure that we have an avenue for still having glass. So we have been working with Strategic Materials and then our hauler, Waste Connections, and we provide a one big roll-off at our recycling drop-off in Queen Creek. And I don't have the numbers right with me right now, but we have taken several loads over this last few months that we've started this pilot program. And so those glass is separate, right? And so it doesn't matter if it breaks up. Strategic Materials is then actually able to make it into a whole new set of glass stuff. When we collect the materials through our program that we have with Waste Connections, it is separated, but it's so crushed and then so dirty. it's not able to be made into something else in our process. I don't know about others. And so really it's just put out as landfill cover. So not a terrific second use of glass. It does have a second life, if you will, but not a terrific life. So we are trying to see if we have enough participation with doing the separate glass, and we have found terrific support with that. We might not ever specifically call it out and say no glass, because just like others have said, it's gonna be in there, right? Because we have been telling people for 20 years, put the glass in. But if we have a way to move a bigger majority out of our stream, it helps our other components have a better useful life for themselves. And so we hope that this will just be a natural thing that people will, take their glass. And then in our new campaigns that we're building this year, we're just focusing on the top 5, and we're not mentioning glass. We're not saying we're excluding glass, but we are just going to promote the top 5 things that have a value that can be recycled into something else, that have a regional or West Coast area to take the material and make it into something else. And so we want to stop the wish recycling and all these other things. But that's why we're just doing the top 5, which will not include glass, but we're not going to at this point call and say it's mandatory, no glass, and we're going to fine you or not collect your cart or any of those things. So we're doing it in a more step-by-step process, and getting council to understand that it's about the value of the product and the value of what that product can be made into in its second life, whether it is glass or the other products. So that's what we're doing. I think it's been quite successful. We got Waste Connections to provide 2 of the roll-offs. We have wrapped those roll-offs with messaging about this is glass only. So we have our other bins at the drop-off, and we say no glass in those, so we rewrapped those, and then we have this one that's separate glass, because the majority of the product that we take at the recycling center is cardboard, and again, to try to have a better value, we want to not have glass in it to be able to have a better value for the product.
That makes sense. Thanks, Ramona. Now, you said that Waste Connections is your hauler, correct?
That's correct.
So was there did they work in an added cost to have those roll-offs emptied?
No, it is part of our contracted fee, and it actually benefits them. They worked out a deal between them and Strategic Materials. So if Strategic Materials pays anything, they're in Phoenix, and Waste Connections has a transfer station down in Phoenix. It's like right across the street. So this works out really well for them. So number 1, we're trying to reduce glass in the regular process and at that facility. And so that benefits Waste Connections to not have to manage glass. And then the other part is the agreement is between Waste Connections and Strategic Materials. I just, got them together. And so if there is any dollars that Waste Connections can, it probably doesn't cover the cost of transportation, but it's something. And so those 2, that agreement is between them. And so it's a service that's provided to our residents, but it helps, it's like, triple win, bottom line thing, whatever that is. So.
Okay, I may reach out to you separately to get a little bit more info on that.
You bet, anytime.
Thank you.
Hi, Aaron. This is Paul Montes from the town of Gilbert.
Hey, Paul.
Gilbert did remove glass from our program, from the Blue Barrel program, but we are actually accepting it at drop-off locations. Right now, we have 2 drop-off locations, and we're averaging about 10 tons a month of glass collection from the 2 locations. And we're hauling about three roll-off bins over to Strategic Materials every month. So what we found is by doing that, we've actually decreased the amount of glass that is going through our blue bins. I think our last audit was it reduced the amount of glass in our blue bins by about 8%. So it is something that is still recyclable. It's just not in the blue bins. We're just offering it through drop-off locations, and we are looking to expand from 2 drop-off locations to 5 drop-off locations this year. It's just a popular commodity that likes to be recycled, and we found that the residents are really receptive of having a drop-off locations.
Thanks, Paul. Did you get any pushback from residents when you made the announcement that you were removing it?
Initially, yes. Of course, everybody knows that it is recyclable, but they were still putting it in the blue bins. But now, ever since we have the drop-off locations, we're seeing that decrease in the blue bins and a large increase in the drop-off locations. So I think residents really adapted to that and embraced it.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Paul and Ramona, this is Tracy again. For those drop-off locations, do you monitor those? I mean, do you have any issue with non-residents? In other words, like a bar or a restaurant that might be bringing glass in? And then just because that could add to, your hauling cost, or has that not been an issue, or do you not know?
This is Paul. Our drop-off locations have been very, very clean, so there hasn't been any issues with contamination or anything like that. As far as commercial establishments dropping off there, we haven't found that to be the case, but we are receiving revenue from that, from the hauls that we're taking to Strategic Materials. So it's not really additional cost for us if that were to happen, but we haven't found that to be the case.
Yeah, that's Mona. So yeah, our area is also open. It's closed in the evenings. It does the park hours. But so probably we are getting more of the Santan Valley, other county island areas that maybe not have access to recycling that are probably using our facilities. And some businesses may be using it, but we don't have a way of monitoring it. But just like Paul said, we get the revenue from anything that's put into our blue bins that are dropped off, the large ones, and then the glass is separate, so it doesn't really matter. But it's in the overall environmental, we're able to provide a service, whether it's bars or others. I don't believe that a whole lot are utilizing that. We haven't necessarily seen them there, and our facilities are monitored every day with our inspectors. And just like Gilbert, when we put in the separate glass, the other containers that you can put any other kinds of curbside recycling into, that was reduced to less than 1% of glass in those. So that has really worked to help those products, when we get them out, they're very clean, because all the cardboard, all the paper, all the plastic, it's very clean, no shards in those bigger containers, because the glass is separate. So regardless of the rest of the community, still we are finding a little bit of a reduction. We need to ramp it up as they're doing with maybe some other locations. We haven't identified those yet, but I think that it is being very well used and getting a lot of traction as far as people knowing that it's there, that it exists, because a lot of new people that are, you know, moving in come to the recycling center, and then they're able to see that there's a separate glass drop off. So it's really kind of advertises itself.
Thank you.
All right, if we don't have any more comments, we'll go to our next part of the agenda, which will be discussion on deceased animal pickup service. And again, we'll turn this time over to Aaron Red for information and discussion on this.
Yes, we are inquisitive ones. Thanks, Bobby. So in line with the last discussion, one of the things that recently occurred with us is we had to go out on an RFP for dead animal collection because our old vendor basically said that they had so much work from a city that they had already been under contract with that they wouldn't be able to care for our needs any longer. So we put out the RFP. We secured a new vendor, but we noticed that the pricing was just outrageous. And so because of it, we just started talking about ways in which we may be able to reduce those fees. And I had heard through the grapevine that a number of municipalities across the valley are asking residents to bag their domestic deceased animals and place them in the trash can. So I just wanted to know, you know, how many cities are doing that? What are you finding? I mean, there's probably a lot of discussion about whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. But I guess ultimately, you know, what has been the feedback from your residents and what are you doing as municipalities for dead animal collection? Thank you.
Now, this is Tracy from City of Chandler again. Per our code or policy, solid waste only picks up dead animals under 75 pounds, I think. No, I'm sorry, that's with the disposal. Dead animals in public roadway. So we work with a contractor that picks that up. People call to report that. On the weekends, they call police non-emergency, and we work with the same vendor. So if anyone calls and it's on their private property, we either tell them to contact a vet, a pet mortuary, or as you said, they can bag and tie it and either bring it to our facility or place it in their trash can. But we only pick up if it's in a public right away.
Okay, so you're not like when a little Poochie here dies, you don't provide that service for the resident. It has to be in the roadway or they're on their own.
Yeah, it's usually, you know, an animal, sadly, that's been hit by a car, whether that's a duck
Right.
or a cat or a dog or a raccoon. We pick those up, but right, if they call and it's on their personal property, we do not provide that service.
Got it. Okay, that's good to know. Thanks, Tracy.
Had this, Mona, so similar in Queen Creek, but it's our street staff, anything on the right of way, they'll collect. Last week there was a horse. We provide them with the appropriate company that we're aware of that will help them with that. But no, we will not remove the horse. And then, so solid waste, we are not really involved, but it is similar to that, what Gilbert is doing, that it needs to be on the right of way, or we might provide the resident with some resources if it's on their personal property.
Got it. Thanks, Ramona.
Aaron, this is Sherry Collins, City Mesa. Solid waste does not get involved in dead animal pickup in Mesa. Mesa has a department for that. If you're interested to reach out to our neighborhood services or community services department, they have a whole process on it. Mesa itself provides dead animal pickup, but solid waste is not involved.
Where do I sign up for that? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Aaron, this is Bobby from Surprise. Just like in Chandler, solid waste, we technically we pay for it, but it's a service that we contract out. We don't provide anything to residents on if it's their own the pet. It is just a service we provide for again as roadkill or anything that's out on the roadway. We will contract that out with a company and they'll come and get it. But I haven't had any conversation or any call or anything asking from anyone asking us to provide a personal service. So we've never actually had that. So I don't even know if we would or not, but probably not.
Understood, Bobby. Thank you.
Aaron, this is Pat out of City of Phoenix. Same thing as everyone else. We contract that out to a private vendor that goes out and picks up any deceased animals.
Okay, do you pick them up from, I don't remember, does Phoenix pick them up from the home or is just the roadway?
It is also from home too, if we get a call on that, and we'll contact the vendor to go out and do that.
Okay.
And I have an agreement or contract that I can actually share with you if you'd like to see that.
Sure. Thank you. All right, well, thank you.
All right, if there's another comment, we'll go to our next our number 6 item on the agenda, solid waste best practices in MAG region update. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Julie Hoffman, the environmental planning project manager for MAG.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. At the June meeting, this was another item that was mentioned as a possible future agenda item, taking a look at the solid waste best practices and the MAG region reports we've done and potentially preparing an update. Next slide, please. So just to give you a little bit of background on the reports. So this committee was reconvened back in 2012 at the request of the management committee to really gather and share ideas on solid waste best practices. So as part of that, the committee began meeting and compiling a list of best practices, which became the initial solid waste best practices in the MAG region report. And that was presented to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee back then, Management Committee, and Regional Council. Once it went to the Regional Council, they had requested that after a few years, MAG prepare a follow-up report to see if those initial best practices that were identified have been implemented in other communities across the region. So that report was completed, the update in 2017. Next slide, please. So a little information on the initial 2012 best practices report for those who were not part of the committee back then. I know some of you were, but majority I don't believe were. What we did is in order to collect that information, we surveyed the MAG member agencies requesting assistance in providing the best practices that they have been implementing in their communities. 15 MAG member agencies responded to the survey and 31 best practices were submitted. The responses we received were from many aspects of the solid waste and recycling industry and were addressed as part of that report and included a lot of very innovative projects that were being implemented at that time. And it really highlighted some of the projects such as that are being implemented, like improper disposal of HHW, ways to increase participation in recycling and outreach, unique kind of outreach, public outreach campaigns, just to name a few. Next slide, please. As mentioned, at the request of the Regional Council, after a few years, we went back to the MAG member agencies and surveyed them again to see which of those initial best practices have been implemented since 2012. We had 27 MAG member agencies respond to that survey, and we found that 18 of the MAG member agencies had implemented at least one of those best practices since 2012. With that survey, we also asked if there were any new best practices that have since been implemented, and 6 new best practices were identified. Again, the report kind of highlighted at that time in 2017 the latest projects and programs that were in place to meet the needs of the residents and protect the environment. Next slide, please. So as mentioned at the beginning, at the last meeting, one of the items of interest was potentially updating this best practices report. And so we put here kind of some considerations when we have a discussion here on potentially updating it. One, what we'd like to hear from the committee is the value a updated report could provide to the MAG member agencies, how this would be helpful and useful to you in your work. Second, just note that this would require participation by the MAG member agencies. These are the projects and programs that you're implementing in your communities, and we would again probably survey you and request that information be provided. And then finally, costs for the best practices document. So we don't know exactly what it would cost to prepare that report. It would be done internally, but there would be costs associated with that. So we just wanted to note, while we don't know the exact number, it would exceed the current assessment that the MAG member agencies currently pay for solid waste. So we just wanted to make you aware of these potential considerations as we begin discussions on the interest in updating the solid waste best practices report. Next slide, please. And that concludes my brief summary. I'd be happy to take any questions and welcome any feedback.
I guess I'll say something. This is Sherry, City of Mesa. So I think that value in we are such a massive metropolitan area with so many different cities that are doing the same thing, right? Looking for best practices of how to move our materials, what we do with our materials. There's a lot of climate action plan initiatives, things like that. So I find, for me, my opinion is there's value in sharing practices and knowledge, and we can learn from each other. I don't know the best way to do that. And so I had gone out online and found this, which is why I brought it up. So I guess, is this the best way to do that, to update this document? It is very labor intensive. I mean, it was done once and then again in 5 years. So now it's been 7 years. Is it worth it for all of us just to take a peek at it and see if even just our sections even change significantly enough? Some of these initiatives take, a decade or so to even implement. So has it changed enough that we feel that we would have enough new information to add to make it valuable and worth possibly a charge? And then, I guess, secondly, as I was saying before, is this the best method to share the practices? Questions at all?
This is Taylor Schaff, First Arizona. I just want to follow up with what Sherry said, that looking at what the best option is, I totally agree with your questions. Those other questions I think we should be asking along with what the exact cost is, because I think that we need to have specifics on those questions to really be able to make an educated answer. But then additionally, the value behind it of being able to have an updated version of this. What I've seen, because I'm also a part of the Keep America Beautiful network, and at the national conference, every single state is talking about, or every state and municipality, they're talking about how their residents are just so frustrated by different recycling programs and municipalities, and there isn't this kind of cohesion. And so I see this as an opportunity that could bring Maricopa County to a more cohesive point where maybe our recycling programs and our services do start to look a little more like each other. Already do in most parts of this country. So I also see value in helping to bridge that gap and just making it easier on residents, on commercial businesses, on people who are moving here to know that you cross a street into Baseline, Mason Gilbert are totally different. And so just being able to kind of bridge that gap, I think will really help the overall goal of trying to reduce waste and contamination and just help everyone else's goals.
Hi, this is Mona, Town of Queen Creek. So I was part of the initial, when we did the very first best management practices, and the idea behind it was exactly as Julie stated, to kind of get an idea of what everybody was doing, what innovations they were looking at. We totally do understand sometimes the confusion between what we can accept. It is difficult when you only cross the street, but just recognizing that, City of Phoenix with its 2 million plus people are going to be able to have some different opportunities than, my 78,000 here in Queen Creek. But it is nice to see what other people are doing and try to find ways to maybe partner or find, just like Erin did today, find other vendors and ideas that can help everybody along. So I would be on board if we wanted to do any updates to that. And I think it's always helpful. We do have these conversations when we have these meetings to also help us, but if we wanted to put it in a more structured document to see not just what people already have in place, but are there things that different communities are maybe looking towards and thinking about. You know, I was able to get the strategic material thing, and then Gilbert was able to see that worked, and so they're actually doing it as well. So those kinds of things help. We're all here to, help the environment be sustainable and do what we can within the structures of what we have. So that's my take on it. I know it was really helpful at the time, and it hasn't been updated a while. So I would be open to that.
Yeah, is Bobby surprised? I mean, I see that as a positive that, it's a very a good thing that when you look back in 2012 and we're not the same, right? That would be probably a bad thing because we're not changing and we're not looking at implementing or being able to implement new technologies and new resources and things like that. So I think it's always good to continually evaluate. I know, I mean, again, there's a lot of new technologies that certain cities are able to access and implement, and we have a lot of different things that we're doing out there with SWANA, Recycling Coalition, and different groups. And I think it'd be great to have everything more on one place that we can be able to use, and then be able to bring back to our own cities and use that as a way to say, hey, here's things that we need. This is what others are doing, and we need that. And it's a way to help out with that as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. This feedback is incredibly helpful. Appreciate the comments, and we'll take that information back, kind of evaluate what options we may have, and then circle back with the MAG member agencies. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll go on to the next. Is there any requests from the members for an item on a future agenda? Is that a no? I take it. Again,
This is Pat over at the City of Phoenix. And I'm not sure if this has actually been covered in the past or not, being new to the group. Did you all have conversations on alley services, gated communities, or gated alleys? Have you guys already had this discussion before as an agenda item? And if not, if we could have that as far as a discussion on what everyone is doing as far as alleys, getting out of alleys, maintaining alleys, or looking at a GAP program, which is a gated alley program.
I know, I think that's something that we can add and we can discuss and look at the ad for our next one coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Is there anything else out there that someone would like to add to discuss on a future agenda? All right, I think if you don't have one right now and one comes up, I think you can send an email to myself or Sherry or to Julie, and we can for sure add that on. All right, we'll go to the next part of the opportunity for comments from the committee. This will be an opportunity to provide a brief summary of your current events in your city. The committee is not allowed to propose, discuss, or deliberate or to take action at the meeting on any matter in this summary. If you have comments to a particular city on what they discuss, if you would reach out to them once our meeting concludes, and you can ask those. But this is just an opportunity for people to comment on what is coming up in their city. Does anyone want to begin?
This is Taylor Shadron from Local First Arizona. So we're going to be having the Keep Arizona Beautiful Lake Pleasant cleanup on September 29th from roughly 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Desert Tortoise Campground. We would love for any waste professionals to be present. Invite your friends, invite your families. To find the registration link, you can go to localfirstaz.com. At the top part of the website, just hit on that events tab and then click upcoming events and check the 29th. Thanks, guys.
I guess I'll just do a call down, I guess. I'll turn it over to Simon. Do you have anything that you want to comment on?
Not at this time, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. I'll turn it over to Buckeye. Do you have anything you want to comment on?
City of Buckeye should be coming out with our next 7-year contract, probably issuing and bringing to council in November. So we'll have a lot to discuss at that point for solid waste collection for our municipal solid waste. That is it.
Awesome, Robert. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Gilbert. Do you have anything, Paul?
No, nothing to add at this time.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Nick. Do you have anything for the city?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Sherry. Do you have anything you want to add?
Not at this time. Thank you.
All right. We'll go to Aaron. Do you have anything of Peoria?
Yeah, I don't know if probably everybody knows, but we're doing a pilot program for Rubicon. We currently have Routeware, and turns out that Routeware bought Rubicon. So I don't know if anybody else has heard that, but we were told that our potential pricing for moving over to Rubicon, should we choose to, would stay the same. I know that Tucson had a contract, and I think they're honoring that price, but I'm just curious as to, what everybody else has been told. But my drivers like the Rubicon system a lot better just because of its map-based system and the ease of use. But we're a little concerned now about what that would do to the pricing. Kind of sounds like a monopoly to me.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. I'll turn over to Pat from Phoenix. You have anything?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Aaron, we've all heard about that as far as the buyout with Routeware and Rubicon. We're also using Rubicon, and if everybody's hadn't heard, we actually started our appointment-based program by taking appointments. We're on day 11. We're up to about 45, just over 4,500 appointments already scheduled. for the first part, or the 30th of October and the first week of September. So we're excited about it. It's actually rolling out pretty good. I'll be able to actually provide more information on a later date at our next meeting as far as how it's working, as our first pickup will be on the 30th. But as far as Rubicon really help, right, work that software and make the appointment-based program, it's been really user-friendly. The feedback we're getting from the public that is making the appointments, whether they call in or they do it online, has been very positive. 90% of the ones that already made appointments are actually doing it online. 10% of them that are actually making their appointments calling in. So we're doing a survey and trying to get response back from the residents on how they feel about the program. There's still concerns, as far as the pickup. We're excited to see how that's going to work out, but it allows us to actually control how many work orders and how many pickups we can do, which will help us actually control a little bit more of, our personnel as well. So more to come on that as we roll into it, and I'll be more than happy to share that with everyone at our next meeting.
Awesome, Pat. Thank you. All right. Queen Creek, you have a comment you would like to add, Ramona?
Oh, we talked about the glass quite a bit, but we're also working with our utility billing vendor called CIS, and we have a dashboard where residents can go to pay their bill and other things, but we're working on doing the integration for residents to sign up for our 4 drop-off events that we do annually, where we take paint and metals, appliances, electronics, those types of things, tires. And we do have it where people sign up and they sign up for a time slot. We're already doing that, but it's a little bit manual that we have to do things on the back end. But we're working on building that one. So hopefully next time we meet, I might have an update on that process, because then residents get what we call a little fast pass, like going to Disneyland. And so we have kept this since COVID, we have kept this event contactless. So residents just show their fast pass when they come at their allotted time, and then they go through the drop-off event and stay in their vehicle. So it has been really successful, but it's still really manual on our side. And we do have to verify that they're town residents. But if we use this other process, they'll go onto the dashboard that already signs them into their account, and it will recognize whether or not they're a town trash recycling customer or a multifamily that's available to use our event. So we're excited about that process. More to come on that. And it has helped our drop-off events be much more successful and have less waiting time, because people choose a time slot. And so not everyone is showing up right at 7 o'clock, right? And then the line is 2 hours long. So really this process, as well as being contactless and verifying that they're resident to use, it's also really helpful, because it takes maybe 10-15 minutes from the time that they get to the facility to the time they get all the way through. So it's really helping the process to not have long waits and people get frustrated. So that's already helping, and now we're just going to make it more automated by people signing in to do that on their dashboard, so that we know that they're a resident and that they're already on our trash and recycling services. So we're excited about that process coming up.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Chandler, Tracy.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. For a surprise, we have hired a new always manager, Steven Sandoval. So I'll turn it over to him to have a comment for surprise.
Good morning, everyone. We're looking to roll out a pilot here that's going to last about 3 months for HHW. Initially, we have 3 events per year, but we're looking to ramp that up for 3 consecutive months just to see how much additional participation we can get. We eventually want to get it to probably 10 out of the 12 months per year. The thought process behind that is just to take more HHW out of the trash and recycling stream and give residents more frequent opportunities to dispose of their waste. So pretty excited about that. And right around Christmas, we do a cardboard drop-off event. We are adding paper shredding to that event this year. So we're going to see how that goes for the first time as well. Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else that I have not called that would like the opportunity to comment?
Yeah, yes, this is, I'm sorry, this is Chris from the city of Goodyear. We have had recently in the last month and a half or so, we've had 3 truck fires caused by lithium ion batteries in the trash. And we are doing a push right now to educate the public on, not putting those in the trash. And I'm just kind of curious what other cities have run, how many of you guys have had truck fires caused by the batteries, and what exactly are you doing, if anything, to try and curb that from happening? And this may be a subject for a future meeting. I realize this is a problem, all over.
Yeah,
the
sorry,
place.
this is Ramona. Thank you for that comment, because regionally we are working on an outreach program, not just in the Phoenix area, but also Tucson. So we'd love to have you, become part of that. And so just reach out to me, Ramona Simpson with the town of Queen Creek. We were pushing for Labor Day. I think that we didn't quite get everything in order. And so part of this is a regional emphasis on all the things that cause the fire trucks, hot loads and other,
Mhm.
things happening. And so we are working on those regional messages, and we'll be putting some of that out, and we'll make sure that everyone here gets some of that information, because we are working on videos. We're interviewing drivers to get their perspective on when they've been in a hot load situation and some of the causes. So it's not just lithium batteries, it's some other things that are really ticking the box out there and are a big issue. And I know uh, several communities, one had 12 truck fires this whole last year, and just every community. I know Waste Connections has had 3 or 4 recently. So it is a really, really big issue. And thank you for mentioning that. And we are trying to work on some regional messaging and outreach. And in addition to that, I'm also working on, especially in Queen Creek, opportunities, because you can't just say, don't put this stuff in the recycling or the trash, right? Because they're going to have the stuff. So I know that Batteries Plus and Staples have been identified from the EPA as having grants to be receivers of lithium batteries nationwide. And so one of the things I'm working on in Queen Creek, and I'd be happy to share when I get further down the road, is we are working on trying to partner with Batteries Plus or Staples at our drop-off events to see if they'll come and have a bin there. And again, it's one way to keep it out in the public and have them understand that there's other places to take this material and not to put it into the trash or recycling to cause a hot load. So we can't just say don't. We got to find avenues for people to take materials. And I know a lot of us are doing our HW programs, whether we're picking up or have a drop off or partnering. All of those things are great, but we also need to push some of these other things that people might not think are, one of the issues our Waste Connection said caused a fire was vape pens, because it does have a lithium battery inside of it. So the whole thing might be empty from the vape, but it's still got a battery in it, and they're throwing that away, and it's scraping and causing the fire. So those are some things we need to just really inform the public on. But so thank you for that comment. That is something we're working on right now.
Right, Ramona, I think Jesse and Adam I think they talked to you about it at the Swana Rodeo, and we're open to help in any way we can. Another possible disposal site that at least the one here at Home Depot will accept The batteries, they won't accept single-use batteries, but they will accept lithium batteries. I tried to verify if Lowe's would, but I couldn't verify that. So, but yes, Staples and Batteries Plus definitely will. So that's
is-
kind of what we're promoting to the people. If you can't hold off for our HHW events, take them there. So that is good information. Thank you, Ramona.
Yeah, we'll talk to Julie and we'll have her reach out and we'll put this on a future agenda item. I'll turn it over to you, David. I think you wanted to do an update as well.
Yeah, this is David Tavares with the City of Tempe. So this is my first MAG meeting, Solid Waste Advisory Committee meeting. So I will be taking over as the direct contact for City of Tempe. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate all this information. It's very it's important because all the municipalities all have we all do the same type of work and we have residents and it's good to collaborate. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity and looking forward to participate.
Awesome, thank you. Is there anyone else? Last call? All right, thank you. Our next meeting of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee will be on Tuesday, December 3rd, at 10 a.m. Our business is now concluded. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Tracy from the City of Chandler. I make a motion to close the meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second. It's Mona.
All right. Oh, we have a motion from Tracy and a second from Ramona. This meeting is now adjourned.
Bye all.
Thanks, everybody, for